It's day 2 of the ANC policy conference in Nasrec, Soweto. Over 3,700 delegates will continue discussions on the organization's renewal. The party is emphasizing the importance of reuniting the movement. Let's cross to the Nasrec Exhibition Center in Soweto. Anchor Shahan Kisoon joins us from there. Shahan, good morning once again. Earlier you brought us the latest from the Minister of Small Business Development, Lindiwe Zulu, speaking to us in her capacity as ANC NEC member. Who do you have for us now, and what's the latest?
Oh, thanks, Tabang. Of course, we'll continue our coverage here from Nasrec, and in our studio here we have our reporter Michael Appel, who attended a business meeting earlier on this morning, and senior researcher Angelo Fick. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Appreciate it. Michael, let's start with you. You were at that business meeting this morning. It seemed that the Treasurer General's William Kize was hitting the right notes with those business leaders.
He's trying to inject a lot of energy into a business community that is fatigued by a global economic downturn, and it's a very frank and brutal discussion, and he's saying, let's revitalize our economy, and the only way we're going to do it is if we work together as state and as the private sector. And he was saying, when we go out and we try to woo investors and re-inject confidence into our economy, let's go out and hunt as PAC SA Inc., as South Africa Incorporated. That seemed to hit the right notes with the business community there, and he's appealing to them: invest in your own economy, don't send your money into other parts of the world or into Africa necessarily. Let's start reinvesting in South Africa. That's the only way we're going to be able to jumpstart our economy.
Now, Angelo, if you listen to what Michael's saying, it seems, would you say the ANC is less arrogant than we saw a year or two ago?
Well, we know that their own research has found that they're perceived to be arrogant and not listening to the people. And I think that from the demeanor and the kind of words that we're hearing from the various officials when they're being interviewed or in their speeches, there seems to be a chastened approach, that their approach is more conciliatory, that they're more interested in working with people rather than in being seen to be instructing everybody else what to do. And this could partly be because suddenly it's a very insecure party, because it's a party that, while it has a 62% mandate, seems to behave as if it's teetering at a 48% mandate. And this is partly because of the events of 2016, where it got electoral defeats, and also because of its own research showing that people really have concerns about the direction the party is taking itself and the country in. And I think business confidence is one of the components that an ANC invested in a capitalist economy really has to continue to cultivate.
Now, Michael, of course, you have been interacting with delegates. We are not allowed to go up to them and ask them questions because the ANC is trying to keep that under control. But you have spoken to them. What are the undertones? How do they feel?
Well, because so much of the speeches are revolving around the slogans, the words we've been hearing: radical economic transformation, inclusive growth, this radical word that keeps cropping up. It was used yesterday by Malusi Gigaba, the finance minister, used again repeatedly by the Minister of Trade and Industry, Rob Davies, today. And I spoke to some of the delegates about their impression of this term, radical economic transformation, and it's being positively received by the business community. A lot of people saying that there needs to be an acceptance, there needs to be an understanding that the economy, the inequality in the economy is at such a stage it's untenable. You cannot simply continue with our economy as it is. And they are slowly warming up to this idea, and some of the delegates saying that in their minds it's simply about bridging the gap, allowing a more inclusive entrance into the market for black industrialists, for black SMMEs, for black owned companies, getting into monopolistic the oligopolies that the Minister of Finance spoke about yesterday, saying just let us get into the economy and equal that playing field.
Now, Angelo, these are words that people might find comforting based on how they come across at these press conferences or meetings even. The policy and how it's implemented would be something that will basically see how businesses react to radical economic transformation.
Well, yes, there's that component, because partly speaking to local businesses is one issue, because these are presumably people whose lives are made here and for whom an unsustainable, unequal situation will have dire consequences, say 5 or 10 years from now. So there are reasons for local business people to be, shall we say, spoken to and brought on side for a policy about local business development. The ANC's policy, of course, and its government implementation of the policy, will also have to deal with multinational corporations who may have very, very different ideas about why they're present in South Africa by way of foreign direct investment. So we know from other examples around the world that foreign direct investment is often highly policed, it's highly regulated. So in places like South Korea, for example, capital flight was for a very long time a capital crime. So you could be punished severely, and they once charged a head of state for violating the capital flight laws in the country. In South Africa, the laws are often there, but they're not implemented properly. So questions that have arisen out of the various reports that have come up around capital flight, where large sums of money are taken out of the country, those will be of concern to people outside of this kind of local, ground-based business build-up from in South Africa.
All right, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. Senior researcher Angelo Fick and our reporter Michael Appel, of course, covering the ANC's National Policy Conference for us here in Nasrec. We will continue